Here we go. Episode 9. We're back, guys, and we've got a special guest with us today. We've got Gareth Graham. Thanks for joining us, Gareth. Appreciate it, mate.
No problems, mate. No problems.
Gareth had a long career in football, starting at Crystal Palace, and we're going to work our way through it and sort of have a chat about how your moves come about and a few stories and that along the way. So, yeah, let's get straight into it, mate. I see, like, through your youth career, you started at Glentoran in Northern Ireland. One of the first things I wanted to ask you sort of was when you moved from Glentoran to Crystal Palace, you were still in the youth system. Was that a big choice? Because Glentoran are sort of a big deal in Northern Ireland. They're the biggest club, aren't they?
Yeah, probably then they were. There was them in Linfield. I think it's changed a little bit now. They're probably just coming back into it. But they were actually semi-pro, so there's no real pro clubs over there at the time. I think a few have moved full-time now, Linfield being one. And there's maybe a few others. I think Lauren have. There's quite a lot of money in the Irish League now. And the standards quite good.
I'm coming back.
The ex-pros go back.
I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Where's my boots? Where's my boots?
I think the jump was just to become a pro footballer, to be fair. Give myself the best chance I could. So I did just make that decision to come over. It was tough because obviously I was quite young. So.
How old was you then when you made that jump to go to Palace?
16. It's just when I left school. Back in them days, I think it still happens. There wasn't sort of academies as such where you start from really young now, like they do. It was more going on trial, then going over when you're 16, the YTS, and that's what I did. So
fair play, mate. Go on, Greg. You got some questions about when you moved over?
No, literally, I was just about to ask you, mate. Was that literally by yourself? None of your family come over, or you just literally came over by yourself, and then you had to room up with someone, or
in digs?
Yeah, that's what they do. Well, they did back in the days. I don't know whether they still do. They put you in the digs normally with just a normal family. I was quite lucky that there was boys in there as well. They normally put you with the other boys. So there was a couple of boys that were a couple of years older and one that joined at the same year from me. So it was quite nice, obviously, with the environment I was in. It was an old lady the first year, Joan. God bless her soul. She's gone now, but she was lovely. We used to torture her, like, as you can imagine. And then the second year I moved out. I moved into a Palace loving family. It's actually Jonathan Pearce, the commentator, his daughter's mum and dad. So I know JP quite well. Through obviously them, but again, they had young kids, and it was me and another boy at Palace, Andrew Martin. You know Taft, don't you, Greg?
Yeah.
Me and him lived with each other then. He was a Palace. He was a year younger than me, so. But it's the best days of your life for a youth team.
I bet, yeah.
Well, but especially sort of moving to like a new environment, a new country now, it must be even more sort of like we've all been that age, even when you go on little trips and that with schools or football teams and that, and it's a big jolly up, isn't it? So it must be exciting. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's a little bit of both. It was obviously exciting, but then there was time because in the first year I didn't really play, so I got a little bit homesick. Because obviously all I did was come over and play football. All I was doing was training and then maybe coming on for 20 minutes here and there. But come Christmas, I was in the youth team, and I never looked back since. To be fair, it was just great. It was great. I'd say the boys were just fantastic. The boys I lived with, and obviously in the youth team, and all the club made you feel really, really welcome. So it was good, and obviously the families were great.
That's blinding, mate. Quick one on like while you was at YTS at Palace. Whose boots did you clean, and how well did they tip you?
There were a few to be fair. I actually I was going to say I was lucky, but I wasn't really. The first year I did Darren Pitcher. I don't know whether you remember him.
No.
He used to wear the old high techs with a flipped over white. You remember them?
Classics.
They were proper old school now. And he got injured, so I didn't have to clean him. It was brilliant.
You had a let off.
Yeah, and then the second year, I actually got Dougie Friedman and Ray Lewington.
Oh, nice.
So I did, and to be fair, they were both decent tippers. Ray Lew and Dougie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Dougie was funny. I know Dougie quite well, so he's a top bloke, Dougie. Funny.
He's a fucking good player, Dougie Friedman.
Yeah, he was awesome. Awesome. Dougie was, to be fair.
Yeah, I liked him. I had a season ticket there for a couple of years.
Yeah,
He's one of my favourites, old Dougie.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Kyle, who we got here, he's a Man United fan, but up until he was about 28, he was a Palace fan. Like.
Got a few
this season,
got a few allegiances.
This season, yeah.
I've got a vault.
But
I've got a vault full of football shirts.
I
throughout the
always remember Dougie in the, I think it was playoff final against Wolves, playoff semi-final. Sorry, I'd say, and he absolutely ripped him to shreds. He was brilliant that day. But that's what Dougie could do. He was technically very good and very, very skillful. He's quick as well. So
He used to work
Yeah.
hard and all, didn't he? He
Yeah.
was a right worker.
you wouldn't like to play against him as centre half. He's just a little bull terrier around your ankles all the
Yeah.
time, isn't he? So
Well, like, I'm a Leeds fan, and we got him at the back end of his career when we was in League One. I think he must have been mid to late 30s, and even then, you could see he had that ability about him and that know-how and the movement that he was class act.
yeah.
Top player. But so during your time at Palace, you had a successful run in the FA Youth Cup. And you got to the final against my boys, against Leeds United.
Yeah.
And I pulled up the team sheet, both sides for the final. It was a two-legged affair. You ended up losing 3-1 over the course of the two games. And some of the names, in the Palace team alone, you got the likes of Hayden Mullins and Clinton Morrison in there.
And me.
And yourself, obviously, and yourself. And in that Leeds team, that you've played against pretty much the Champions League successful team of Leeds United. You're Paul Robinson, Alan Mabry, Jonathan Woodgate, Harry Kewell, Stephen McPhail, Matt Jones, Alan Smith.
Yeah.
That the names there that went on to sort of achieve big things in the game. And what I sort of wanted to talk to you about was when you come up against that team, did you sort of know that they were a class above, or did you feel that you boys could match them and you'd all go on to achieve big things? Or at that sort of age group, how did it sort of feel at the time?
To be fair, I think when you're young, you're just blasé. You don't really care who you come up against. I went out when I was younger. I was confident in my own ability for one, and I didn't care who I played against.
Brilliant.
So it didn't. But that we obviously heard murmurs about their team because they were smashing everyone. I think they won their league by something like 20 points or something.
Yeah.
And we'd heard a lot about the boys that you mentioned, McPhail, Woodgate, Robinson. They were a really, really good side. Not gonna lie. And it was hard. It was hard to. It was probably the first time we used tactics, and we probably took a little bit out of our game. I think because we tried to kick them off a pocket because we could mix it a little bit as well, and they were just, if we'd have tried, it's like when you play Man City nowadays, you can't try and pass them off apart because they're going to roll all over you. I think you've got to come up with ways to try and beat them and
take something away from your game, as you say.
And I think we probably concentrated a little bit too much on them.
Yeah,
and it took it a little bit away from us. But again, it wasn't tactics. I just think we were young. We didn't know when to do what we were being told to do and when to then play the football. I think that was probably what we caught up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet it's one of them things that you sort of played into their hands by trying to change your own game, probably.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's.
But don't get me wrong, they were a good side. If we'd have played well, we would probably still lost. So
where were those games played as well? Do you remember? Because I remember back in that sort of era in the 90s, a few times the sort of Youth Cup finals and that were at the main grounds, and there had quite a few in attendance as well. Was that the same? Or
yeah, it was the same. Yeah, we played the first leg at Elm Road. I think it was about 9,000. It was freezing, and there was all the fans. There was about 9,000 fans, and they put them all in the same stand, so it looks obviously busier. But all the lunatics had their shirts around their heads and everything. They were actually proper good atmosphere. So it was, and that was probably the first time that I played in front of obviously a large East crowd, which I think for any footballer, if you want to play at the top level, it's a buzz playing in front of them. So it was good, but it wasn't nice getting spanked.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's a good experience though, and it gives you that sort of taste as what you want to go on to and that. But
I think there was about 4,000 or 5,000 at the Palace game as well at Selhurst. So
that's full capacity, isn't it?
Yeah, just about.
Go on, Greg.
I was just who was. Did you know there and then who was pick of the bunch? Like when you were playing against them?
I think you can tell. I always compare myself against people I've played directly against. McPhail was probably one of the best ones I've ever played against. If I'm looking back at my career, he was just good. He was left footers are always cultured, but he just always found space and time in the ball. Couldn't get anywhere near him. And he looked as if he was in first gear the whole time. But clearly wasn't. And I was trying to kick him, but it's on 9 times out of 10 I couldn't get near him.
He's got a wand of a left foot. I was saying to Tell previously. I've always liked him as a player anyway, McPhail. But yeah, again, like you're right, like what you say, everything, even it all it's very easy for him. It looked easy.
Yeah.
When he got the ball, he never panicked. He just sort of pum. He knew what to do.
Yeah.
Pum. You know what I mean? He just laid it off. Done what he needed to do.
And good players will always find space. At the end of the day, football's not all about running. You'll always find space. Sometimes
God for that.
But it's honest, I've made half decent career out of it non-league. So.
I didn't like running either.
It's funny you say that. Like we was talking about Stephen McPhail. I was actually talking to my dad about him earlier, Kyle, as well. And I heard an interview with an ex-Leeds player. I can't remember who it was a few months ago. And he basically said he was a victim of being born in the wrong era as well, Stephen McPhail. That he reckons, because he was sort of that sort of cultured number 10, sort of playing the hole. But back then, that weren't really, the game weren't really catered for that.
No.
And like he was this guy, I can't remember which player it was, but he said if he'd have been born in this sort of era, he'd have been very much like a Foden type player. And you'd have sides building their teams around him.
Yeah, no, I would get that. I would agree with that. To be fair, I would definitely agree with it. Another one, if we talk about that, obviously that era, Joe Cole played against him as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
Stop dropping names, Gareth.
Clang.
What a player!
Hold on, I've just banged my head in the table.
Could you get close to him? Could you kick him?
No, I swear, because he was probably 3 years younger than me. I was the FA Premier Youth League, because it just started then, what they've got now, the Premier Youth League. It was still competitive though, so you played teams from all over the country, and we played against him. He was probably only 16, and there was me and the left winger Stephen Evans, and he'd done this bit of skill, and to this day I still don't remember what he'd done. It was that good and that quick.
What a player!
And you could see obviously where he went on, but again, people were playing him. He probably wasn't strong enough to be a centre midfielder in them days, and he wasn't a winger. So it was as you say, if he was born to 20 years later, he'd be worth millions, hundreds of millions of quid.
Yeah,
that's the problem with players of both of them. Their ilk, like you, McPhail and Joe Cole. They were either the wrong era or the wrong nationality. Like if they were Spanish or Italian or something. Yeah. They knew what to do with them sort of players, didn't they? But over here, there weren't as many of that natural talent and skill and flair players over here. So it wasn't sort of,
as a nation, we
were
very much
up and down, box to box.
We were very much 4-4-2, weren't we, back then? Like it was a standard Mike Bassett fucking 4-4-2. You know what I mean? It's like the culture's obviously changed massively now. Like and some of the football that goes on nowadays, the players. Your little ones like get along a lot better now. Yeah, as you're saying, like they're able to play themselves in the game now because the ball's on the floor so much rather than just pinging out or pinging into the corners, making the striker like run the channels and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I think the physicality of the game's changed as well, because you used to be able to fucking tackle people from behind, and as long as you got the ball, it wasn't a free kick. Now, again, I've done a little bit of coaching, and to be fair, I probably had to change my coaching methods, because if you get your body in between the ball and the defender, it's going to be a free kick. Whereas in them days it wasn't. People would go straight through the back of you and you'd feel it, and you'd play on. And it'd be tough, but it's changed. It's changed massively. So it has the game.
Yeah, this is why I find it hard to compare players from different from this time to different eras, because
you can't do it
again. But you can't, because as much as you can say Pele was the best, it's difficult because they're playing in different eras. Football change, it's evolving and changing all the time. So you can't. It's hard to say who's the best. You can only go on the basis of your generation and stuff. You can't. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And off the back of that, like I always lean more towards favouring the players of the years gone by, from the 60s and the 70s, the players that were doing phenomenal things with the football on mud bath pitches, when players were allowed to fucking scissor tackle them around the neck. Like if they could
when
do
the
it
balls
then,
were heavy as
well.
well.
Half cut as well. Half cut probably.
Yeah, half cut. Yeah. I'd have probably been better then.
You'd have been at home back then, wouldn't you, Gareth?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, following like that season anyway, and reaching the Youth Cup final, you then broke into the Palace side and getting your first professional contract in '97. How did that sort of come about? Who was the manager back then, and how did it sort of they put that to you?
Coppell was a manager, and it was quite strange, to be fair. Because I was my form had dipped a little bit, and I think mentally I was thinking about obviously my contract from didn't hear what's happening. Because there was most of the boys that come over, especially the Irish lads, would sign a YTS as well, then a pro. So once they turned 17, the pro contract would kick in. They'd obviously get the pro money. So I was sort of worrying about my contract. I'd had a couple of injuries. I was stupid. Went and played because I didn't play Northern Ireland 15s and 16s in the schoolboys, and we were doing quite well in the FE's Cup and things like that. So I was sort of playing games and not really training because of a slight tweak in my thigh. But every time you trained, it was sort of hurting a little bit more. I was called up the under-18 squad for Northern Ireland, and didn't want to miss it. Trained more or less every day in so much fucking pain, not gonna lie, because I wanted to play, and it sort of set me back. And then I was out from Palace for about 3 games, I think 3 or 4 games, and I missed one. I think it was one of the FE's Cup games. It might have been against West Ham. And then I come back and I wasn't playing great, and that's when Peter Nicholas at the time, who was a manager, and Jeff Taylor, they sort of pulled me into the thing and said, "Look, your form's dipped, but we want to give you a contract." And I signed a 4.5-year contract when I was sort of 17. So I actually got the longest contract out of us all, me, Hayden, Clinton.
Oh, because I was going to say quite a few of them, like teams, a few of the players in that youth team made that step up into that squad and got contracts as well. But you got the longest of the lot.
Yeah.
Did they know that, or?
I don't know. I think they might have been aware. I didn't leave my contract down about the change room like some people did. Which to be fair, I'll tell you a story. It's funny. And he's probably one of the best players I've played with. We might go on this and ask me a question, but Matt Jansen signed for Palace at 18 from Carlisle. And obviously back in the days, you used to clean the changing rooms, clean boots, all sorts of stuff. That they still do now. And Matt left his,
still should be, mate.
Yeah, no, exactly. It makes you a man, I think. He left his wage slip on the thing. I obviously won't go into what it was, but he left his wage slip, and he's the same age. Well, he's a year older than us, I think, Matt. And it was like, oh, fucking hell. But again, it's an inspiration for us finding that, because
you want to get
you want to get there, don't you?
Yeah.
So
big time.
I don't know whether he did it on purpose, but but
have a look at that, boys.
Yeah. But it was quite a funny story for Matt. But yeah, the contracts, I don't know whether they knew I'd send the longest one or not.
That's brilliant, though, mate. And did you get a chance to sort of go back home and celebrate, or was it just like you've got your contract, just carry on working hard and keep going, sort of thing?
Yeah, back then football was my life. I'm saying that's all I wanted to do as a kid. And I had to work hard. I was working hard to get there. That's why I did get the contract. But I went back. Everybody obviously, it was a tough one. Being again, we'll go back to obviously when I was back home and coming over here. Every summer, most of the boys' youth team used to go away on holidays and things like that. I used to go back to Belfast for 6 weeks. One, because I'm ginger and don't like the sun. So if I went away, I'd get burnt to as crisp. and now 2, I just went back for 6 weeks to see my mates and family. Yeah. So that's the way I did it. So I sort of celebrated in the pre-season.
That's good though, mate. That's just humbleness as well, isn't it? Like, you know, appreciation of what you're doing, where you've come from, as well. So to stay humble as well, not be such a Billy Big Bollocks.
No, exactly. But most of the boys were going Portavenous, and there wasn't enough shade in the bars in Portavenous for me.
Factor 50 in the corner.
Yeah. And then obviously it weren't long into that contract that it says that you like playing in the Surrey Senior Cup for the reserve team. You suffered a bad injury, a broken leg.
Yeah. To be fair, I was actually 2 weeks before, which you probably won't know, but I'll tell you. I was actually in the first team squad.
Right.
So it was probably partly by luck, because a boy a year older than me, I think the Palace scout in Scotland died, and he was unavailable. I think he went to his funeral. A boy called Stephen Thompson, would want to do well for Palace. Actually, he was one of the good Palace shot. But he couldn't make it, and I was called in the first team squad, and I was only, I think it was 18 then. First year YTS. But it's first year pro, and in them days there was only 3 subs, and it was against Hull, who were rock bottom of the then 4th division. So my digs people, obviously, because I live with Taff, there's all rumours going around that I'm starting, blah blah blah. So my dad flew. He sort of flew over. My digs people drove up and everything, and it turned out I was actually 15th man.
Oh.
And Cop will put a goalkeeper sub, put Carlo Nash sub. And we actually lost the game 1-0.
Oh, fucking hell.
But I again, I don't look back in hindsight, but there's little things like that. I think if I'd have played, and the way I was playing then, the physical fitness I was at, because again, I broke my leg 2 weeks later.
Could have been your chance.
It could have been it, yeah. It could have been it.
And for the sake of a keeper on the bench,
yeah,
like,
when you lost anyway. But again, I love Cops. Cops is brilliant. I don't blame him for anything, but there's those little things. And again, obviously, you look at football now, it's a results business, so we probably didn't want to take a chance on a kid when we were in the sort of Premier League at the time. And
yeah, but you say that, Ginge, they took a chance to give you a 4.5-year contract, mate.
Yeah,
there had to be something. There had to be something there that made, when was going to be your first chance. There probably was no better than a hole away. Do you know what I mean? As you say,
no, exactly. Yeah,
it didn't happen.
Hole.
Hole.
It's a shit hole as well.
Sorry, any Hull fans are listening.
Fuck them. Like you said, Greg, they've invested in you there, Gareth.
It's a shame to hear that, mate. To be honest,
it's like we had Jay Tab on a few weeks ago, last week I think, or the week before, and he was saying, like, in that Palace youth team, he was a few years younger. They used to come and watch you, like in that youth team, and you were the one that like they was all looking up to, as if like we want to be like him. So
yeah, to be fair, I obviously listened to the interview. It was very humbling because again, Jay's done really well. Did really well in his career, and he used to train with us when he was about 13 every Friday in the youth team, because he used to play 5 sides the day before game. But it was very humbling, and I don't know whether it's me not. I was confident. Don't get me wrong, I was very confident in my ability, but whether they knew how good it was or not, I don't know. Yeah. But again, some of my pals, like again, I'll Taff. I used to go mental because Peter Nicholas was just fucking Ginge, everything was Ginge. I was like, does he not know anybody else or what? But Taff said to me, obviously, we go and have a beer together and things like that. He said, if you didn't play, we didn't play. It was as simple as that. So that's why I was trying to get you going.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, looking back at it now, I sort of half understand. But yeah,
what's it like for someone to say that about you? I've never had it. I'll be honest with you. I've never been this star, man.
It is really, really humbling. Again, because as I say, Jay's done really well in the game. He was a really good player himself. He was technically so good. But yeah, again, I just take
it running the family, Ginge.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Was your brother good thing, brother?
Yeah. Did you get the looks or what, Greg?
I don't want to say. He might be watching. I don't know. He was the trial baby. I called him the trial baby.
So when that injury come about, like, how long was the diagnosis? Was it sort of, you knew you was going to be out for a while, or?
Yeah, it was quite a bad break. I broke tib and fib.
Oh God.
So
what was it? Was it a dirty tackle, Ginge, or was it?
Who done it? Who done it?
And to be fair, you probably know who done it, Craig. I played with him and played against him. It was Jason, played for Kinstonian, centre midfielder.
Greenchild.
No,
who?
He played for Corinthian Casuals and
Turley.
Turley, Jason Turley.
Oh, dirty
Jason
bastard.
Turley. Jason Turley broke it. And again, this is another story. I played with Jason, and then he was nearly in tears one night because of what he'd done to me.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those. He's 18 playing for Cobham against Palace reserves, and we were probably taking a piss a little bit. I think we were 5-0 up at the time. And I laugh at it now, but I think it was the first time I've ever fucking beat anyone for pace. So this, it was down the right wing.
You've killed him, Jim.
Yeah, it was down the right wing where I should never have been in the fucking first place. And I just nipped in front of him, and he came across and hit the leg.
Oh.
I knew it was bad when the first thing, and it was probably the end of me. If I look back now, it was the end of me. To be fair, I've obviously had injuries after that, but I think that was the end of me becoming what my potential was, I think.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise at the time. I was 18, I just wanted to play football.
Of course, yeah. Look, me and Greg were actually talking about it in the last few days leading up to having a chat with you today. And we were saying it's so unfortunate because in again, victim of the era you playing in, if that's today, like you'd be able to come back pretty much full strength. You look at the likes of Andre Gomez at Everton, who's like he had tib fib, it was really bad. It come through the skin, and also Djibril Cissé done it twice. Henrik Larsson, and like they've all had really bad ones at different stages of their career, and been able to sort of have the right surgeons and physios and that get them back to being
technology. Everything's moved on so much. And again, I refer to like it sort of broke me mentally as well. I didn't know at the time. Obviously, mental health is a massive issue now.
Yeah,
and I think it actually broke me mentally because all I wanted to do was play football. I was 18 years of age. All I wanted to do was play football, and what I was being told by the physios when I could actually do stuff was drink a cup of coffee and walk on a fucking treadmill for an hour. Now, I didn't come to England to do that.
The rehab.
And again, don't get me wrong, I'm no saint in all of this, but I went on the booze. I'm saying I started smoking at 17, 18 at the time, heavily, and went on the booze because I had nothing else to fucking do. If you get me,
so you
all I
got
do was play football.
Talking about like the mental health side, you look at that, and that's like maybe a like tiny little bit of depression, a cry for help.
Would have been 100%.
You know, like because your recovery is not. Your recovery is not going how you wanted it to, and you felt like you're not getting the right feedback. And mate, it's I mean, this is stuff. Knowing you, this is stuff that I don't know either. Like,
and to be fair, I wouldn't talk about it, Craig. You know me.
Mate.
I don't mind opening up, and this is probably the first time I've done it. I've obviously said this a couple of close mates.
Yeah.
I think I said it in one radio interview a couple of years back.
Yeah.
But that's probably how I dealt with the depression.
Yeah, do what smoking and drinking. Yeah.
Yeah, and I started getting mixed up with because football's when you're in it, it's a very sort of close-knit community, and for obvious reasons, because you couldn't do things that people outside were doing. No. Whereas I sort of came away from that, and my mates, and they're still mates to this day, you know what I'm saying? And I don't blame them and whatever. They just wanted me to come out and have a laugh and a beer with them.
Yeah.
Whereas they'd work the next morning, I had fucking training.
Yeah, it's not the same environment.
And again, if at a game, I would never went down for a beer, but all I was doing was fucking drinking a cup of coffee and getting on the treadmill. So fuck it, why not have a beer? Anybody can walk on a treadmill with a beer in it.
It's unbelievable that's what they've got you doing, isn't it? Really, like if people in the game nowadays were to know that, they'd fucking fall off their chair.
Yeah.
It's insane. Kyle, did you have something off the back?
I was just going to say, like, obviously, from that leg break, And obviously, had you made your debut by then, or no? You just been in the first. You hadn't made your debut by.
I was in the squad before then. Yeah,
You've been in the squad, but
yeah.
Do you think that Palace gave you the chance to succeed post the leg break, or what?
Again, I was still very young then, and Palace were really a yo-yo club at the time. They were up and down of the thing, and it was just the year I obviously became a first-year pro. We'd just got into the Premier League, so we made some big signings. Yeah. So we did Lombardo,
Bald Eagle.
Yeah, he was.
What was that like?
Unbelievable.
Jesus Christ!
Was he?
Again, you talk about obviously the physicality of becoming. He was like an Adonis. He smoked and everything. Lombardo before. But he was just, his fitness was unbelievable. He was just, and he was coming to the end of his career then. But he was just, you could tell he must have been. He obviously had hair when he was younger. And I used to watch a lot of Italian football. But he was
massive
just,
then, wasn't it?
Yeah, he'd done things that you just like, wow. He was unbelievable, Lombardo before. But yeah, so sorry, come back to your question.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
I don't think it was the right time to give me a chance. I don't think anybody would have
coming off the back of that.
Yeah, because we'd signed midfielders from I think we'd signed Andy Roberts from, I think it was Millwall at the time, who ended up being a centre half. We'd made a lot of good signings, and there was probably people in the reserves ahead of me. Although in saying that, I used to play reserve games ahead of Simon Roger, who played lots of games at the thing.
The boy, when he was,
because Dave Bassett liked me a lot, to be fair. So he did. Him and Jeff. I was probably through Jeff. I think Jeff was.
He helped everyone but me.
He loved the soul.
I wish I knew him.
Jeff's a bit of a legend on this podcast following our interview with J-Tab. He's J-Tab's best agent, and I don't even never think he got a percentage of poor sod.
Yeah. I think Jeff's still scouting. He is Mr. Football for me, and again, our youth team, we had sort of good cop, bad cop. We had Jeff, who was very, very technical and tactical, and with Peter Nicholas, who was a fucking lunatic. Like he used to come into the boot room, turn the lights off, and just fucking throw boots at us when we're all sitting cleaning them. He was nuts.
I wish you could do that nowadays, though. You just couldn't do it now, could you?
No, there's no. That's no. But again, I'll probably say something I'll regret, but it's they're too fucking flaky nowadays. I think
a bunch of fannies, isn't it? That's it. They're just a bunch of fannies.
It's just sometimes it winds me up because some people say something about me. I fucking get over it and fucking say something back, or fucking snap them a tackle, or do something. It's frustrating at times because again, it's obviously we could be doing nickel for child abuse, but I'm not going to do that. I knew what he was doing, and he was actually making me become a little bit more of a man. He's
hardening you up.
He was manning me up, and I think again, looking at today's game, they don't have that. One, because of obviously the way the youth systems are, and they don't do anything. They're lifted and laid.
Yeah.
And two, that there's no geezers that will show you. Fucking, you need to become a little bit of a man here. You're still a little boy. You need to become a man.
Bellamy and Beardsley are fucking prime examples, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah, and I think obviously it's probably go get in trouble. I think I'll get you in trouble. But I think the under 23 leagues load of wank. I used to in Palace reserves. Used to play. There was people in the Champions League suspended. Used to play against like Ray Parlours, and you used to fucking play against proper men when you're 17, 18 years of age, and that made you say you were on the pitch going, "Fuck me, I'm in for a game," and you come off it saying, "I want to be him." That's an education. Education's the right word, Greg. To be fair, that's what it was.
Yeah, because that'll teach you, not playing against other kids that are prima donnas.
Well, the other thing with these kids in that position now, that like the position you was in, Gareth, you're signing that contract with them. Kids nowadays that are signing that, they're made for life already. Seriously, where's their incentive?
I say the contract in a tenner a week. They're saying contracts in 10 grand a week.
Oh, you were balling back then, bro.
Yeah, I've got me a house in Belfast, mate.
Still can.
Yeah, it still can. No, but it's, you're right what you're saying. It's madness. Some of the money getting floated around.
Yeah.
And again, it goes on the flip side as well. you've got your mentality's got to be so right, because you could get, with all that money flying about your head and your thing, you've got to have the right people around you to make sure you're grounded.
Quickly, yeah.
You make sure you're grounded, because obviously if you want to succeed in the game, because there's probably kids that we don't know about that have earned that money for a couple of years, maybe got an injury or something, and they don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you want to become a footballer, I think you've got to be level-headed. You've got to work hard, and then the rest will come naturally. You won't just earn that 10 grand a week. You'll be earning fucking a lot more.
Yeah, most definitely, mate. And then obviously, well, following your injury, like to regain a bit of fitness, they sent you to Merthyr Tydfil in Wales with one of your teammates, actually. Andy Martin went there as well.
Tough,
yeah.
What was that like, mate?
Fucking shithole.
Was that his hometown? Was it?
Yeah, it is. It's like I don't know. It's probably like Shameless. You ever watch Shameless? That's what Merthyr's like. And to be fair, they were playing in the league. Then we used to travel. Me and Taff used to leave from here because we used to train every week or every day then, and just go to the Merthyrs for games. But we used to travel all over the country. We had a laugh doing it, like, but all over the country to play in, I think it was Dr. Martin's league then. So we were going up the likes of Hendersford or even going to fucking Merthyr. That's an absolute slap during the week. So you're getting back at, to be fair, sometimes we used to stay at Taff's mum's and have the next day off. But yeah, it was a bit of a slap. And it came about through Taff, I think, through the Welsh Scout again. Gone, Peter. He's gone now, blow bless his soul. But yeah, it came through him. I think he had connections in Merthyr and just got me and Taff and moved there. But yeah, I wouldn't advise any young kid on 10 grand a week to go to fucking Merthyr.
What was the standard like there then? What?
Shit.
It was wasn't great. Not gonna lie.
Equivalent.
But again,
come on.
it was probably the equivalent of my fitness at the time. But yeah, it wasn't great. And again, it was, the pitches were poor, and also I'm obviously used to playing, like, even our training ground Mitcham was lovely, and obviously you're playing really, really nice pitches, so it was tough. So it was.
I know Kyle's got a question off of the back of Merthyr Tydfil, so go on, Jonesy.
Tel didn't want to ask it. I mean, listen,
not a chance.
No, basically, obviously, I see. Obviously, you went on loan to it, like with Taff. On Football Manager back in the day, or his Championship manager back then, he was a bit of a.
It was Martin to you, not Taff. All right.
Yeah, but I'm thinking I must have missed the intro, but I'm thinking who's Taff? I'm thinking, but I know obviously I just put two and two together. No, I actually used to buy him all the time, right? He's a bit of a wonder kid on Championship Manager. I don't know what it was. It's probably like 99, whatever. It was an old school one.
So was Gareth. You just didn't know about it.
Yeah. No, I used to buy myself.
100%, mate. 100%.
No, I was always Man United, and I couldn't buy one from Palace. The board would get upset, so I don't have to. But no, he was quality on the game, to be fair. And I've actually never seen him play, like never. And I just wanted to ask you, what was he like? I mean, obviously, I know he's obviously a close pal, but generally, because I've just never seen him play.
Now, to be fair, our youth team was really, really good. Taff was obviously an integral part of that. He used to score probably more goals than Clinton. So he did, but I think Taff would probably tell you himself his attitude wasn't great. So it wasn't. He used to just stroll about. But he was an ugly centre forward. Like he's a good looking fucker, like, but he's an ugly centre forward. He used to.
Did he used to have long hair?
Yeah,
like long curly hair. I feel like I feel like I must have seen him somewhere on the bench, but yeah.
Mop head he had. Him and Wayne Carlisle both had it in our youth team. Fucking hell, it was ridiculous. I don't know what they were thinking. But yeah, as I say, our youth team was really, really good. Taff was one of them because he used to score goals for fun. But yeah, we had a good side. But Taff, he's a good player, very, very good player.
Yeah.
Got goals, and he was very, very physical, which helped him. So
I thought he was small though. He's quite a small fella, wasn't he? Or
I'm pretty 6'1", I think.
Taff.
Oh right, I was in the top of the homes now. He was just a bit far away. That's what it was.
Yeah.
He looks small.
I don't look like a midget. You probably wouldn't have seen me over the grass, I don't think, if you were at the top of
Well, now you've got Kyle's obsessed with fucking Football Manager, Championship Manager, and that. Like he was like, if I'm not on the thing, you've got to ask this. I'm not talking about fucking a computer game.
I don't have time for that. I used to when I was younger, like don't have time for that though.
Nightmare, Jonesy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, well, following your glamorous loan move out there to Wales, then you came back to Selhurst Park and put yourself like in contention for a first team place. And at the back end of the '99 season, you ended up getting called in and making your debut, mate. At Watford. How did that sort of come about? You moved back from Merthyr Tydfil, and was it a long route back into getting on like first team contention?
Yeah, I think again it was just fitness. I had to get fitness back, so I went out and played games. And again, likewise, what they do now with kids, they send kids out alone just to get them fitness and to get them the physicality of the game. So it was. Then I come back, and as I say, I started doing well for the reserves. And I was lucky enough to get called in. I was in the squad for quite some time, I think, and then lucky enough again to make the Palace debut against Watford. Yeah.
What was that feeling like, sort of finally getting that call, like you're coming on, son? Like,
yeah, it was unbelievable. But I think I will always remember. I think it was a game before, or maybe 2 games before, because Palace actually, I think they had the draw or something or win to stay up against Norwich away, and like you'd have thought I'd scored the winner in the 90th minute. I was fucking diving on fans and everything. It was mental. I don't know how it came about. But yeah, it was that's a game I actually remember more than the debut, which is strange because obviously it was in and around the squad. But yeah, it's always special to the debut, I think, for any club. I was lucky enough to do it for Palace. I just wish it could have been a little bit earlier because again, I probably wasn't in the shape or fitness or looking back now that it could have been or yeah.
It's surprising, really, that the coffees and treadmill didn't do the job, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
makes you wonder.
See, the thing about it, I had Irish coffees. I wasn't fucking stupid.
Touche. And then, obviously, following the end of that season, because I think that was a penultimate game you made your debut. Following the end of the season, you got your call up into Northern Ireland under-21 side, and had a few caps for them. Again, what was that like, getting that first sort of run out for under-21 international?
Well, again, I think the pinnacle of any footballer career is playing for your country, no matter where you're from. I think, and that was mine. That was always a boyhood dream of mine. But again, going back to obviously the call up, and obviously we're talking about my career now and the little things that obviously fall into place. I was only called up because a boy at Man U, Philip Mulrown, he was a great player, Philly, to be fair. He was a year older than me. Yeah, he was skipper the 21s and he broke his leg. So he did. And I only got called up due to that. It was for, I think it was a round robin tournament, us, Scotland and the Republic, up in Inverness. And again, I'd done quite well. So it did. And the manager was great. I think he's having a bit of a problem. Like Chris Nicholl, who was at, he played quite a bit. He's played at Southampton. I think he managed Southampton. But he was fantastic. You talk about managers. He was really, really unique. Like when we were warming up, he used to fucking sort of run backwards and go, chase me, in a little soft voice. It was fucking weird. Like, but we had a good bunch of lads in, and even at half time, obviously, some all managers are different and they'll have their little moments. But he used to leave us for about probably 5 or 6 minutes, all on our own, to talk. And to be fair, we had some big characters, good lads, and we all used to fucking, again, have a go at each other, which they don't do now. You know what I'm saying? People can't take criticism. We used to fucking criticize each other and go, you need to fucking pull your finger out, stuff like that. And he used to leave us in there for about 5 or 6 minutes and do it, and then come in and talk about tactics. I thought that, for me, that was great because we're obviously playing the game. I hear all the stuff about managers and things like that, and I don't think people manage the game well enough now. You know what I'm saying? You can fucking set stuff out, but if you've played football, it doesn't pan out the way the manager says it was, or the way the opposite assistant manager says it was. The game changes, and it changes within the game. So you've got to manage that. You've got to change what you're doing or what your team's doing. Mm-hmm. And we used to do that, and I don't think it happens well enough at any level nowadays, to be fair.
Yeah, I think you're right. Go on, Greg.
But being called up it's Biggest achievement in life.
I was just going on that, Ginge. Changing rooms like that are always better because there's nothing better than your own team. Like when you can have a little chat between yourselves and sort out your problems. Yes, the manager he's got the overall decisions and whatnot, but to sort them problems out yourselves, and like you say, you need to pull your fucking finger out. You just get on him, show him down the line, just little things. The manager's probably going to say it, but as you say, you've got to manage the game on the pitch as an 11.
Yeah.
So there's nothing better than having that fight, mate. Like what he done was quality.
And it was the first time I've ever seen that. Like, and it was unique and it was good because again we had strong characters. But again, with people who could take criticism.
Yeah, but it makes the weaker stronger as well.
Yeah,
because you learn to start take that. Like you learn to start taking that criticism.
Yeah, and you actually learn to give it out as well. Because if someone's saying something and you don't agree with it, you can actually say, "Look, and it wasn't a shouting match." You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of guys. Some of it get obviously maybe raised voices and things like that, but we weren't calling people see you next Tuesdays and things like that. It's not the way it was. It was just like you could have done this, and we talked about ourselves. And then if you disagreed, you'd say, "Well, I don't know," and then it would be resolved in some way. And it was really unique, and it was good. I really enjoyed my time at 21s, and we had a good side again. We didn't do well in the Euros, to be fair, but we beat a good fucking really good France side, and again, most of them went on to do quite well. So
it's funny you mentioned that because that was going to be my next sort of question to you because.
I've been on here before, haven't I? You did me.
You've done it all for us, mate. You set me up nicely.
I mean,
but
Greg's leaked the notes. Greg's leaked the notes.
Yes. I looked into that team. Because you beat that France team 3-1 in the under 21s, and there's actually a video of it on YouTube. It's about a 6-7 minute clip.
2 absolute fucking worldies.
Yeah.
That's it. David Ely come on as a sub and scored 2 fucking screamers.
If you've watched the video, which one am I?
Number 8, mate.
With a fucking blonde hair. I thought it was Neil Lennon back in them days.
Well, tell you, he heard it's Richard Graham. It's Richard Graham, and he was like, "Well, is that him or is that a different geezer?"
Yeah, because I watched it, and it's only a highlights clip. Like you don't see sort of the full match and whatever. So I'm trying to pick you out through it, and then at the end, like you don't see that subs have been made and whatever. Yeah. And then at the end, he's like Graham on the ball, like you see, and I'm like, oh, that's got to be him. And then he's like Richie Graham, and I was thinking, has he fucked his name up, or is there another one? And then because he's really similar to you as well, like similar stamp and everything.
He wasn't a fat ginger kid. he long blonde hair.
He's got short hair in the video, hasn't he?
He got the assist though, Ginge. He probably should have claimed that.
He should have claimed it up. Just go, it was me. Yeah. But well, even in that Northern Ireland team, like the likes of Damien Johnson, Jeff Whitley, Paul McVeigh, Adrian Coote as well, like some good players in it, and David Ely obviously become an absolute legend of the game, like especially at international level.
Yeah,
what a career he had. Like, was he at that time? Because I think he was at Man United, wasn't he, at that time?
Yeah.
Did he sort of stand out? Because he was a sub in that, which surprised me. I don't know if he was a bit.
Adrian Coote and Paul McVeigh were 2 centre forwards, to be fair. And Healy, he was a year younger. I mean, he like me, just broke in I don't even think he came to the tournament. It was probably his first sort of involvement. But Healy, if you talk about, again, obviously I've trained the Palace first team, done shooting drills and things like that. He fucking hit the target every time. He was unbelievable shooting drills. Seriously, I've never seen anything like it. He broke all sorts of records when he was as a kid, because I knew him obviously a year younger than me. As a kid, I've heard about him and things like that. But he was up there with the best finishers I've ever seen before.
What a player he was, mate. And like his success in the senior side as well was second to none, really. Like, I remember at that time when Northern Ireland had them games, when you battered Spain and he scored hat-trick, and he was he was a Leeds player then, and I sort of fell in love with that Northern Ireland team because of him. And I remember wanting you boys to beat us when you played England, and you did.
Yeah, we did.
And I was like, fucking get in, because I wanted Healy to do well.
Yeah, but again, because he played in that again Northern Ireland squad. There was no household names in it, was there? And I think that's what we had in the 21s. We had a good team, and that gets you points, and it gets you. We had great camaraderie in our team. And I was really surprised, not at how well he did. I think it was the position he played, because he wasn't tall and he used to play up top on his own.
Yeah.
In the international team. And although international football was a lot different then, it's probably like the Premier League, it's like a sort of false nine. You used to be a big man, a small man then, wasn't it? And that's the way Healy was at his best, I thought. But again, he played up top on his own for the national squad, and he was unbelievable. And they played him strength. They probably worked on it when they did get together, because he was so quick, and again, put the ball in front of the goal, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to see a goal, I think. So that's how good he was.
Yeah, he's a cracking player. Go on, Greg.
You got the list of players there for them, haven't you?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and that France team
that night was unreal.
Yeah. That France team that you beat 3-1. Jesus Christ! Like the names in that, I'll run through a couple. You've got Didier Domi, Mikel Silvestre, William Gallas, Philippe Christanval, Osman Dabo, Djibril Cissé, Freddie Canute, David Trezeguet. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. These guys gone on to play sort of the top level and succeed at that top level, and you boys pissed all over them. Do you know what I mean?
Scoreline was flattering, I'm not gonna lie.
Was it really?
But to be fair, again, our keeper David Muskelly on the night had an absolute world.
Oh, he had a worldie, yeah.
But again, we were solid defensively. Again, I think Hughesy played for us centre half. I don't know whether he's in the programme, but Aaron Hughes played centre half, I think, for us then. So we had a really, really good side. And again, if you've got Healy scoring the 2 goals that he did.
Oh, they were great goals.
They're fucking unbelievable, yeah.
Well, for anyone who hasn't seen it, if you whack in YouTube, Northern Ireland, France, under-21s, the 2 goals from David Healy are just, they're worth watching themselves.
Again, quite a funny story from that. It was played at Glentoran's ground, the Oval, and loads of my mates came to watch, and obviously all my family and things like that. And I think Gerard Houllier, who was Liverpool manager at the time, I'm walking out because my family's meeting me at the players' entrance. I'm walking out, and he asked me who I played for, and I said Crystal Palace. He went, oh, he said first team. I said no. He went, very strange. That's what he said. So I'm not going to do a French accent, but he said very strange. I actually could.
Have a go. Go on, just have a go.
Very strange.
God bless him. God bless him.
Oh, he's Portuguese, is he?
He's Dutch. I said like James Sancho there, didn't it?
That's it, yeah.
But again, we had a good side. I loved playing with Jeff. Me and Jeff just complimented each other so much.
Another good player.
We were roomies. And he was such a top lad. Like, again, we had a load of top lads. Roy Carroll, who didn't play that night, I think he called into the first team squad, but again, he was part of our squad. With just so many good lads. So we did, and that got us a lot of points. It obviously won us that game because of the camaraderie. We just wanted to fight for each other. But they were awesome. Like, they were probably as good. It was similar to the Leeds game. The fact they were probably far, far better than us, but we kept in the game, kept plugging away, and Healy scored 2 early. So,
fair play, mate.
On the night, Canute scored. He looked a better player at youth level than he did sort of in the Premier League.
Yeah, he looked tasty.
He looked like an absolute player.
Yeah.
Not saying he wasn't when he obviously
he was a fucking donkey at West Ham.
Yeah, he struggled in the Premier League at times, but as that watching that video back as a youngster, I mean, he looked decent.
Yeah. And he was a specimen. Then he was probably the same at 18 as he was when he was playing through his career.
Yeah,
and most of them were
athlete and all.
Yeah, he could run. Their front three again were just, they caused us problems all night. But we defended superbly, and the keeper had a worldie.
What did he go on to have a career? Because I watching that video back, and it was his debut.
Again, he was, because Roy was playing. So Roy Carroll was playing. He was the number 1. But I think Roy could pull in the first team squad against France the next day. because Henri was supposed to play for them, and he got put into the fucking first team squad. Thank fuck, because they'd probably played like 10. But yeah, he was called out, and he was, I think he was at, where was he? Blackburn. I think he was at Blackburn.
Who was it? David Miskelly.
Yeah, he had a good career in the Irish League, but again, he was actually he played in my boys' club a year younger, and he was a centre midfielder, and he was brilliant. 2 great feet. Not very mobile, but he could pass and he could think. But he broke his leg, and he turned him into a goalkeeper, and he ended up playing, I say, having a really good career in the Irish League.
Wow.
I think he went across to Blackburn. It might have been. I'm not sure.
Maybe you missed the trick. You should have gone in goal.
I know. I can't even touch the bar on 5-a-side goals. Yeah, I can't even touch the crossbar on 5-a-side goals. For fuck's sake.
I'm going to say,
Oh, good.
And like the following season, after that, you've broke into the Palace team, made your debut, and that you moved on to Brentford. And yeah, what was that like? Because I think you went initially on loan, and then it become permanent. How did that come about? Because obviously you made your debut for Palace. Was you sort of preparing yourself to become in the Palace team, or did you know that you'd be ending up like moving elsewhere?
No,
Jeff Taylor.
Yeah. No, it was actually it was probably me being bullish. I thought I should have been playing the first team, and I wasn't. I should have been more involved in the first team of Palace, and I wasn't. So then I wanted to go and play football, and there was a massive connection with Palace and Brentford at the time. Obviously, Ron Lowe just gone there, Ray Lou, then you'd Herman Henderson, Rob Quinn, Danny Box, Tony Folan. There was loads who played in my youth team as well. He was very, very good, Tom. So the Box and Quinny, but yeah, there was a lot of connections, so it was an easy. And we used to train at the same place as well. So I moved, but I didn't really. So it was
just change the kit you were wearing.
Just change the pitch. So
that's crazy. One thing I did want to ask you about an individual that was at Brentford when you were there is Andy Woodman, the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Because I've just finished watching his 2-part interview on Under the Cosh. What a fucking character he is. Woody.
Mate. He was funny as fuck, Woody. He was fun. Him and Kenno used to travel in together. Again, Kenno was my youth team and he was Brentford as well. But we used to go into training together. We used to pick him up. Kenno used to pick him up. And he was fucking hilarious. The stories he has, he never stops talking.
Yeah.
Seriously. No. Woody just never stops talking. I think he has stitched 2 people up. Well, fucking, I've seen it before Under the Cosh. It was.
It's brilliant when he's talking about that 8-year contract at Newcastle, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, proper character. And again, I don't think there's any of them left in the game.
Very few, mate. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not close to dressing rooms at the minute, and haven't been for a long time. But you can see people fucking about. And I think fucking about's frowned upon, but. Yeah, I think you take professionalism to a certain level. You can still have a lot. Like Jimmy Bullard was fucking great, wasn't he? Entertainment value. He was probably the last of people that you see that would fuck about.
Yeah, you're right.
When the ball went dead, like the time he fucking bunny hopped over about 10 people, and then
that's right.
You don't see that nowadays, it's a laugh.
And he had it where the floodlights went out, didn't he? And he ran the length of the pitch and scored and ran off celebrating because.
They're all just robots, though, aren't they?
I remember, because obviously going back to sort of that, I remember at the end of one season, I think, I don't know what season it was, but David Tuttle, he was at Palace. Obviously all the fans used to come on the pitch in the season. I remember Tux being down to his pants. He'd probably be fucking arrested nowadays for doing it. For indecent exposure. That's the way the world has gone fucking mad, isn't it? It's just mental.
Yeah. Walking around the pitch in his pants.
Yeah.
You are right. You wouldn't get away with it nowadays.
You wouldn't. It's the society's gone all fucking wrong, isn't it?
Yeah. The one thing with Woody as well, was he as shit as he says he was in goal?
He couldn't catch a cold, to be fair.
Really?
His son's a lot better.
Freddie's decent.
He was all right.
His son.
Yeah, Freddie Woodman's his son. Yeah. Woody was all right. He was decent enough goalkeeper. So he was.
Because he slags himself off rotten, doesn't he?
That's a deflection. I think he used to make mistakes. I can't remember many before, but he was, and he used to do that again. He used to do that. He used to take a piss out of himself, because I think if you can't take a piss out of yourself, then other people will fucking do it. So you may as well take a piss out of yourself.
100%. Yeah. Go on, Greg.
No, so I've got written down here. So you went to Brentford and you play 13 games. Was that your first season? You played 13 games.
Yeah.
How comes you only got 13? Was there injuries, or is that just?
Well, was that the first season, or was that in total?
No. Well, I hope it ain't total, mate.
No, that was the first season, 99, 2000.
First season, and then you went on loan to Crawley.
Yeah. It was a little bit of both, to be fair. They were doing really well. Brentford at the time, they were close to the playoffs. And again, you talk about the players there. Paul Evans, who was our skipper, really, really good. But only got to move to Forest. Martin Rowlands, who came from QPR, technically very, very good. Gavin Mahon, again, really, really good players.
Good player,
so there was really, really good players in that squad. And even though we were in, I think it was League Two at the time, it was still tough to get in. Again, if I look back now, I probably wasn't as fit as I should have been. I was still sort of doing, probably not as much when I was injured, but I was probably still doing things I shouldn't have at certain times, which I think it's because, again, probably that I wasn't playing as much as I wanted to. So.
Fair enough, mate. I see, like, following your loan to Crawley, you come back and it says under Ray Lewington, you sort of fell out of favour. What the irony actually is, you came on as a substitute in one of the games that season for Jay Tabby we had on a couple of weeks ago, which is mental as well. But at the end of that season, your second season there, it says like the majority of your appearances for him were off the bench. And then they decided to release you. What was that like? And did you was you still hung over from the injury trouble? And did you sort of have?
Yeah, well, I think the second season again, I got myself in probably better nick again. Again, we were doing quite well. I think we got the equivalent of Johnson Paint final. So we're still a good side. We were up and around the playoffs. But I actually got injured on the same leg, because when I broke the leg, they put a pin in it. So they did back in them days. They probably just do a boot now, but they put a pin in it so you don't have muscle wastes instead of plastering it, I think. And the pin got infected when it first broke it. So I was out for 13 months, originally at Palace, on and off. And then at Brentford, I was playing, I think it was in a reserve team game, and I got a little stud mark sort of on the leg. And so I woke up the next day in cold sweats, and I was like, the physio, I said, I just don't feel right. I said, it's fucking, my leg's sore. And he said, well, rush yourself in the local hospital. So I rushed myself into the East Surrey Hospital, and they gave me antibiotics, said, you've got an infection, just don't play football for 2 weeks. So I booked with the missus at the time. I booked to go away on holiday, and sort of all around the sort of cut was going sort of green and brown. I said to the physio, I said, this doesn't look right. He said, and I was due to go on holiday on the Friday. So he said, look, we'll get you into the surgeon at St Anthony's, who private, who used to do all the footballs, Palace and Brentford footballs at the time. And he said, we'll open you up just to see what's in there. They opened me up, and there was an abscess about that size sitting on my bum.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was sort of the Brentford thing. That's why I left Brentford. That was the end of my contract, and it was a time when I don't know what is it, the cable channel went bust, and they were funding all the sort of lower leagues in. Right. It was a close sort of thing of me getting a contract because I had been injured. Obviously, again, they still thought I had potential, but then they didn't give me one. So, and I was injured at the time, so
they didn't want to take that risk, did they? Yeah. Especially after that, exactly. Yeah.
Well, my track record as well.
Fuck me, that must have been terrifying, mate. Getting that in your leg.
Yeah, well, obviously, air pressure. If I was in the air with that abscess, fucking could have been a lot worse. So
yeah,
thank God it didn't get on the plane.
Yeah, that is scary,
mate. You wouldn't have wanted to sat next to me there.
Yeah. But so when that come to an end, your time at Brentford, you moved on to Woking, and then Margate as well. and spent well a bit of time at Margate. Woking, you was only there for sort of a short period of time. It's a bit longer at Margate.
Yeah, I was at non-contract at Woking, so
was you?
Yeah, just playing the. I could have signed for Barry actually in Wales. Go back to Wales. Fuck, I said.
Oh, good God.
But and they were full time. They were winning the league every week. Peter Nicholas, who was my youth team manager at Palace, was there
every week.
as
What
manager.
Was the league over every week?
Yeah, sorry, every year, yeah. And I'm playing in the Champions League and everything. So was Richard Kennedy. There was a couple of sort of ex-pros. Got Kenny Brown was there as well. He was at Palace and West Ham. He was down there. There were a load of good players down there. And I was settled sort of in London at the time. I didn't want to make a move, so I went back to semi because they were full time as well. But I decided to stay in London, and I'd signed on contract for Woking at the time. So yeah, that's why it's a short thing at Woking. So, but again, that's the weirdest story. Again, Greg will probably tell you some stories about non-league, but I was earning not bad money. Obviously again, I didn't really have anything behind me because I thought I was going to be a pro. So again, if any young kids are watching this, get something behind you because it can be a fucking short career, and obviously if injury hits. But so I was just a plaster's mate at the time, so I was working where I wanted to really. But I woke up from a phone call in the morning from one was the Woking manager, and he left me a message saying Margate want to sign me. He's releasing me, and the other message was from the Margate manager. But that was the last time I spoke. The Woking manager didn't even fucking phone me. He just left a message to him released.
Like, he's dumped over a voicemail.
Yeah. Was it Chris Kinnear? Was it at Margate?
Yeah. Didn't really go with Chris to be fair.
Nah.
I think he liked long ball. I like to play the feet, and I wasn't mobile then. To be fair, if I was 18 and I played the way he played and could get about, then yes. But he actually played me fucking right wing back most of the time. I remember playing.
Yeah, it said on your notes that you switched to right back, and I was like, never a right back.
Not even right back, right wing back, right? Fucking hell, mate. Seriously, we played Dover. I think we drew nil each one. I think it was Boxing Day, and it's obviously a local derby, so 4,500 fans there. And the geezer, I forget his name. Is it Chris Allen? Used to be at Oxford, signed for Nottingham Forest for about 500 grand. This geezer was like fucking shit off a shovel, right? And he was actually quite cute as well. He could see that I had a fucking fridge freezer strapped to my back every time I tried to run. So every time he got the ball, all he did was just go. And I was like, fucking yeah. I was a guy. He just fucking kept knocking past me. We're 2-0 each. I must have done all right.
Go on, Greg.
I've got here as well, like looking through some notes and stuff. It started all right for your Margate career because you scored on your debut.
Yeah. I did. You know me. I don't get many before. Yeah. Again, I think I was actually quite fit then because I got myself fit in the summer. I wanted to give myself a good go. I think then I thought I could still get back in the league. I'm saying because I was confident at the time. And I was starting playing regularly. He was playing me sort of the highest of the three midfielders. He used to play three midfielders, 2 lumps behind me, and that's why I got a nosebleed in the blocks and fucking had a shot. I think
they all count, mate.
Exactly.
You're better than a nosebleed, mate. It was precision. It was precision.
Yeah.
It was your only goal, though, wasn't it?
No, I scored a couple before. I can remember we beat probably the best goal scored from was we beat Stilly-Bridge Celtic in the last game of the season. I think it was 8-1. I scored against Yeovil as well. I scored a couple.
Yeah, I've got here that it was 4. Like a goal of the season contender.
What was that? Yeovil?
A delicate chip, yeah. Maybe Ashford.
Stilly-Bridge?
Ashford.
Was it Ashford? Yeah, it was. It wasn't bad. Remember Canton against Sunderland?
Yeah, a bit like that.
It was all those, yeah. It was all right. It wasn't bad.
Another nosebleed then, was it?
Yeah. No.
He shanked across.
I listened to Tabby last week saying I used to score from everywhere.
Yeah, I was going to say. He said you were prolific.
He painted a picture, mate.
He mustn't have seen fucking past the penalty spot.
Well, we was talking to him, and he was saying about obviously Leon McKenzie being a bit of a bit of a nut, and I said to him, I said, mate, it's all right. He would have swung over your head anyway. Like, so, you know, you weren't much bigger. You must have been about the same size, yeah.
Nah, I'm a little bit bigger than Tommy before.
Was you?
Yeah.
Greg, an inch is a lot, mate. I've been telling you that for years.
I've always been this size, Greg.
Yeah.
I'm just getting a lot wider.
So after your season at Margate, you asked for your contract to be cut short because you had the opportunity to go abroad and go and play in the top division in Iceland.
Yeah.
How the hell did that come about?
Well, again, it's not true to be fair about getting cut short. I think Margate announced that, but
right,
to play in another country, you need the terminate contract. You can't be signed because you need international clearance. So Chris Kinnear said, "Look, we'll just release you and we'll sign you next season." That's why I don't really like it that much, to be fair. He sort of lied to me. But the IBV thing came about by again pro connections, Herman Henderson and Eva Inga Marson.
Right.
That was their local club, and that's who they came from.
Is that the keeper at Brentford?
No, he was there as well. Ollie Marson, yeah, he was there as well. But it was Eva more, because I knew Eva quite well and Herman. But it was, again, I had to terminate my contract, but I wanted to get myself fit. Again, I wanted to get myself the best chance I could. And again, at Margate, I got an ankle injury, and I think I missed the last 6 weeks of the season. And even though they say them Scandinavian clubs, the ones that don't say they're full time, they are really, because during the summer it's fucking late the whole year round. So all they do is they go to work and then train in the evening. So when I went there, I was training in the daytime on my own in the gym, and then training in the evening and playing games. So I got myself again proper fit there. But and the done quite well there. Probably I think I scored once as well there. Fucking hell, I'm getting all my goals out here. I think I only had that's 5. That's me done. I think 5 all over. and they wanted me to stay and play in the, I think it was a Europa League at the time. Well, UEFA Cup at the time.
UEFA Cup, yeah.
Yeah. And but Kinnear says to come back to the conference, start a conference season. But so obviously I come back to England proper fit. I've played against Willie in a pre-season friend. I can remember it quite well. Done quite well. Fucking, I'm scoring again here. What's happening?
You making it up or what?
I'm making these up. I must be. My memory's shit. Can't make me score. But no,
that's all them Irish coffees, mate.
Yeah,
goal every week.
I did score in that game, and then he's put me off the game, saying that they'd signed Warren Patmore from Woking, who was non-league legend. He scored loads of goals for quite a lot of money in them days. To be fair, I think it was 35 grand or something. And he said he couldn't afford to pay me. So it was one of them. I had trials at, I think it was Hereford, and then he ended up going right down to Whiteleaf because it was just local to me. And by that stage, it fucking sort of threw the head up. So I had, because it was just, I was trying to get into clubs, and again, because of the money going, there wasn't too much around then. So. And that was me. I just went.
Did that sort of piss you off in a way that you could have stayed? I don't know if you had any intention of maybe staying at IBV in Iceland and playing in UEFA Cup, but did that piss you off that you sort of, yeah, we'll have you, and then all of a sudden, no, hang on, we can't afford you, mate?
Yeah, again, Greg knows me quite well. I'd rather people be honest. I've been a coach or a manager of that. I'd rather people be honest. If you're not good enough to play, I'd rather you tell me and say,
yeah,
don't give me false pretenses and coming back, because I could have stayed there probably for another month, missed sort of pre-season in the UK and come back, and people would have been wanting on leagues like that. People get in the month of the season and go, fuck, I need this or I need that. So instead of having every man there's dog at pre-season training, so I would have liked to stay there because it was brilliant. Like, so they give me I didn't obviously pay me a wage, and then they give me a PIN code for the fucking shop. Yeah, all I had to do was put a PIN code in.
What, it was paid for?
The club paid for it.
What?
They got me a flat and everything. Yeah. So there's a women's team as well, and obviously a kids team, and there was two girls from Scotland. There was two girls from Scotland. That they came over and they had the pay to play. I think one was a Scottish captain. I forget her name now. Before. Two lovely girls. Got friendly with them and her brother who came over to play in the youth team. Got really friendly with them and because they weren't getting paid, they would just come over to play the thing. So I was taking them to the shop every day. They must have. I think I probably owe IBV about 10 grand.
That's fucking incredible, isn't it?
I was getting them
Mental.
phone cards, their shop, and everything. I enjoyed myself. Like I really enjoyed myself.
I bet you fucking did, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have never left.
Sweethearts on your hand and fucking three big shops. That'd be fucking fantastic.
There was no alcohol allowed though. Fuck's sake, so
Oh God. That's mental though.
Yeah.
That must have been a bit of a shock to the system playing in a country like that, sort of.
Yeah,
and what was the standard like?
It wasn't that bad. I think if you look at the Scandinavian players, I think they're all typical Scandinavian players. You get some who are very techno, and you get the others who are just fucking robots. You know what I'm saying? Just physical machines, and they're actually robots. Which again, in a team, you need that. You know what I'm saying? You need technical players, and you need people that are going to do jobs and fucking do them very, very well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved it over there. Got on really well. It was actually, the league was full of foreigners. I think each team could have 3 foreigners. So it could, and I was one for us with a Danish lad, and I think a geezer from. It was full of other Scandinavian countries and Eastern Europeans. So I think we had a geezer from Lithuania who again was brilliant with a good side.
Did you have a chance to go back, like after it sort of fell on its arse at Margate or whatever, or wherever it was? Yeah, could you not go back there?
Again, when I say I would have stayed, I probably would have stayed to the end of our season. I don't think it's a way of life because again, I've fucking being dark the whole year round probably wouldn't be me.
At least don't go about the sun though.
Yeah,
That would have been perfect.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't think that. Fuck me, can I go back 20 years? No, but I had a girlfriend at the time, obviously, and other things. So it was just one of those. I was only going to go for a short period to get myself fit. So it was, and
it was a great experience, though.
Yeah, it is. And again, I think any country, there's different ways of everything. The only thing it was fucking 11 quid a pint, even back then, which is a bit steep.
What's it now?
Yeah, I know. But I don't think they're in the Euro, are they? I don't think Iceland is still in the Euro. I think
No.
they're still at the corner. So
They so then you joined Whiteleaf, spent a season there, and then you ended up moving on to AFC Wimbledon, which I've got a soft spot for anyway because I'm from Wimbledon myself. So what was that like? Because you joined them at a time where they were sort of relatively new as a club in the terms of starting again, and they were on their way back up.
Yeah, and again, that was probably the big attraction. Again, Whiteleaf, as you can probably see from the notes, I've been back there like a yo-yo because it's such a good club. Greg's played there. It's a great club.
Top club, yeah.
People in and around it, they're just proper football geezers and a good laugh, and that's all I was doing then. But when AFC came knocking, obviously, I went back to sort of, I think it was my idea of being a pro again because there was fucking 3,500 players in the combined counties, which 3,500 fans in combined counties, which is unheard of. Like, plus again, I knew a couple of boys there. The manager knew of me. I didn't know of him at the time. Well, the assistant manager Nick English knew of me at the time, and it was just a chance that even though it was a step down from where it was a chance that you're not going to turn down because. I'm now part of history, I think, and obviously, again, speaking to fans, I went to the playoff final, and some of fans, even then, obviously in the pub before the game, saying you're part of our history, and which is fantastic, because what happened to the club was a fucking disgrace in the first instance, and for them to come back the whole way, and for me to be part of that history, winning 2 leagues with them is, again, it's unbelievable. But,
100%, mate. Like you said, the fans that they were getting at that level is insane, really, and it was such a phenomenal feat what you achieved there, and what all the players that played through them AFC Wimbledon sides to get themselves back to where they are now. Yeah. It is like you should be proud of that sort of thing. It is something special. But go on, Greg.
Yeah, no, I just remember. I remember that sort of time because obviously I was young myself and moved sort of into the semi-pro game, and the I think when my first experience of AFC was when you'd done the combined counties and then you came into the south.
Yeah.
And I think you won that as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then
under Dave Anderson.
Yeah, and then the very next season when you'd gone into the Prem, that was when my first experiences. I played you in pre-season when I was at Croydon Athletic, and just the team that you'd sort of built, and players like yourself, you had other players that had obviously had careers and whatnot, and plus you had obviously players that were just starting out as well. But the team that you sort of created, and you had who was that? Was it John Main?
Yeah, mainly played.
Oh, he scored goals for fun, didn't he? And just the team that you sort of built and playing in it for like the likes of yourself, as you say, you're part of history, and them fans will never forget that. And it was something special to play against as well, because it kind of never been. It may have been done before, but how they went about it and how the split went, and then how the fans just made this new team, and it was something special to even play against.
Yeah,
so, play it.
Yeah, to be fair, and obviously you say it's a main feed. Obviously we went on a run in them days. I think it's the longest British unbeaten record, I think.
Yeah.
And obviously I was involved in part of that. But obviously they talk about that, and obviously the progression they made. That unbeaten record, I think, is phenomenal. And I'll ask your opinion, Greg, because I felt that every team we played against, no matter what level it was a cup final.
Yeah.
Because they probably played against in front of 200 fans every week, if they're lucky, maybe fucking 40 and a dog. So to come up against AFC Wimbledon, that has to raise their game, and that's why our levels had to be high in every game we played, no matter again whether it would come in counties, Rem and Prem. So, and that's why I think that was really good. And it's again to be involved in that was good, because it was a cup final, and I would if I was in the offer. And what was it like? Was it like a cup final? Is that the way you treated it, or
mate? I mean, I was still very young. I was maybe 19, and I'd just obviously come out of Sutton United, and then I came into the men's game, so to speak, the men's game, because that's when my head got turned, as in this is a proper man's game now, playing against men, not boys of Sutton reserves and stuff like that. And as you say, like, you're coming up against people that you kind of, their name comes before them, and then you're on the same pitch as them, and then you're a young man, and the fans are there. And as you say, I mean, if we used to get 40 and a dog, that was fucking lucky. Do you know what I mean? So to come up against that, and I'd I'd never sort of been in that sort of environment as fans went, and then as players, like stature wise, there's obviously a few in that, like as you say, when the first team is not playing and stuff like that, you would play against them in the reserves and that. But the switch over to men's football and to play against them.
Sorry. In the teams you played in at Wimbledon, Gareth, was there any? Because I remember quite a few of their sort of guys that played at the top level with Wimbledon. Stepped down and played. You likes of your Marcus Gales and people like that. Were any of them involved in the teams that you was in?
Now Roger Joseph came for a season, but I think he was about 42 at the time, I think. And I think that was just a little bit of nostalgia. He played every now and again. Top bloke, Roger, to be fair. But I think he didn't really get a game, but he was the only one that sort of came down then.
It wasn't until a few years later.
Again, I think what happened with AFC, I think the club was that big in attraction. It was attracting players that were better than the level they were playing at.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Won the fans, because again, I think that they've done it really, really well. They're still doing it really well. The budget, because our budget wasn't massive in the combined counties, but some people don't get paid in the combined counties, but it wasn't massive all the whole way through. But I think people, because I stepped down, and again, I didn't get massive pay increase or anything like that. But I played for the club because of who it was, and
you bought into the
project.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I didn't envisage what's happening as quick as it did.
Yeah.
I did, if at all. So what they've done is sort of unreal in my eyes. And when you play for the club, you the way we were at the time, we were fucking. There was a lot of lunatics playing. We loved the boo. We were like the fans. Especially the first year, we get on really well. So there was that bond, and when you've that bond, you can tell how passionate they are, and you obviously hear the stories of the Wimbledon was their life. It's get taken away from them, and again, I was at the playoff final a couple of years back, and one of the boys, because I got to know a couple of fans. I actually knew a couple of fans first, but I've got to know more of them. So I went to the playoff final with a few of them, and I had grown men crying and thanking me, and I was like, I'm saying it's again, I'll go back to the J. It's humbling that people actually look at you in that way, if you get me. So it's a fantastic achievement what they've done.
It is phenomenal. Like I said, Gareth, you're part of that whole history now. Like that whole club has been rebuilt, and well, look, they're above that lot in Milton Keynes now. Do you know what I mean? It's incredible.
Let's not mention it.
Yeah, but you know what an achievement, and that sort of feat will never be achieved again.
Yeah, to have that ground as well, like literally down the road from the original Plough Lane.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
I mean, I mean, having lived, obviously, I lived over the road from Plough Lane, and I used to go in there when it was derelict, and you know, there used to be a horse on the pitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'd obviously, you know, Terry himself as well lived in Wimbledon, and like my dad would tell me stories, you know, like when teams would come to town, like it was amazing, like Liverpool, the old Liverpool, like you know, and your other big teams at the time, they used to come to town, and Wimbledon was buzzing. Yeah. Like obviously this was before pre-Cellar Estate. This is Plough Lane, like and to live across from that stadium and see that happen, and it was just derelict, and we used to go in there as kids. It was horrible. And then now for that to all flip round, and then as you say, like the history now, and to get that stadium down the road is fantastic for the club.
I think the only obviously again, I think they've worked in stages, which I think of the project they've done is fantastic. Works in stages, and that was a final nail in the coffin. I'm just gutted for all the people involved that they couldn't be there for the opening of things because that is their holy grail, apart from getting into the fucking Premiership again. That is their holy grail, to be back home at the Plough Lane, which again it's fantastic, and I'm gutted for those fans.
It's so Wimbledon as well that they couldn't be there for that. It's just like
it looks a lovely stadium though. It does look a nice stadium.
Yeah, it looks, I've cycled past it a few times. It's lovely before.
Yeah, no, it is. It's going to be good when like they can get that full up, and that'll be an emotional day. I think.
Do you know?
What's that?
What's the capacity of it?
I don't know actually.
I'm not sure. I think it's about 12. I think it's
somewhere close to 15.
What was Kings Meadow?
5, I think. 5.
Nothing much.
Oh right, so it's all right. So it's going to be a big difference.
It's 9,500.
Oh, is that all? But that's still. I mean, mate, I'm saying that's all.
I think there's a potential to grow it. That's what I've been.
There is.
It's got big grounds around it, isn't it? Like where they've built it now. So, mate, credit to them. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully they just keep going up and up and up. So,
be good if they did, mate. But then, like after your 2 successful seasons at Wimbledon, you got a call from. Where did you go back? Did you go back to Whiteleaf then?
Back to Leaf on loan,
Back to Whiteleaf. So,
long,
like you said, you've gone back and forth to Whiteleaf like a yo-yo. You've been there.
I was like a homing pigeon. That was my home roof.
Is that where you two first crossed paths?
No,
he's back.
No, I don't think so. I think it was Croydon Athletic. Yeah, it was Croydon Athletic. I don't think I played with you at Whiteleaf. I think I might have played against you at Whiteleaf. And managed against him maybe, but I think it was Croydon Athletic with me and Greg. But I think if any non-league player in the south, if they haven't been to Whiteleaf or spent at least a good few hours in the bar after the game.
Oh yeah,
They haven't fucking lived, to be fair.
You know what? Having played against them for so long, and then like for me, when I got the call to go and sort of play for them, I was a bit dubious because they were the pitch was never great. When it was the grass pitch and that, it was fucking horrid. And being there when they switched the pitch over to the 3G and that, and sort of coming up from the Kent League, and then that
lucky bastard.
Eh?
You lucky bastard. I had to deal with a white leaf bobble when I played there.
Oh, don't worry, mate. The goal that I scored to get us up from the Kent League, I mean, that took a bobble and fucking went in the top corner. But yeah, I mean, the switch to that pitch then, we changed as a team because we could get the ball down and play, which was so different to Whiteleafs of old, because it was, the pitch was horrendous. It was hard to play there. Yeah. So hard. But yeah, what a club Whiteleaf was. But after that oh yeah, it's a good bar there.
I've heard a few little comments about the piss stuff after. I mean, that's a bit of me. I'd love that.
Yeah. Why do you think Gareth kept going back?
Exactly. But after that loan spell back to Leaf, we've done a bit of research and a trial at Tooting and Mitchell. You've got to talk us through that.
Oh dear.
Because it went well by all accounts. You scored a goal, did you?
No, I think I was probably worse. They get sent off.
Yeah.
Was it against Charlton? Was it?
I don't know. No, do you know what?
It was against Harrow.
Harrow, yeah.
But
I think. It's never my fault. I never get sent off my fault. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I think I've probably seen Red missed that. I was a feisty little fucker in the day, to be fair.
Well, there's an actual quote from the Tooting and Mitchell website from that game, and it says, Gareth raised a hand and caught an opponent in the face after 55 minutes. It was not a sending off. No, it was a sending off offence, but the Harrow player definitely made a meal of it. So take that as you will, I suppose.
And then Tooting didn't see Gareth again.
If I raised a hand, I'd probably tickled him in the bollocks.
That's why he made such a meal of it.
How the fuck's that a sending off offence? You tell me.
Did you know from that moment the red card come out? You thought, well, that's game, that's done, or what? Or did you play all right? Or
never a good sign as a trialist, is it?
It's not. No.
I get sent off for Barry in the trial as well, but Nico knew me, so he knew I had a little bit of feistiness in me.
Nothing wrong with that, mate. Nothing wrong with that.
Nah, again, you couldn't get away with some of the things that you used to do nowadays with cameras about things like that.
I actually think
even in non-league, they're getting filmed and fucking all sorts, and they put them into all sorts. But it used to, I was 9 times out of 10 cute with it, but I used to go over the top sometimes if someone did it to me.
On debuts.
Yeah.
And it says you broke a bone in your foot as well, only your second game into being back at Whiteleaf.
Yeah.
Which, how's your luck? Do you know what I mean?
To be fair, it's probably as my luck. Because I'd done my cruciate at AFC as well in my second game. Probably doesn't.
Did you really?
But done my cruciate, yeah, in a block tackle. And again, that's where I'm sort of really thankful for the club, because even though it was at the level that we're at then, AFC Woodman, non-league, you get paid for the season. They actually paid me all through the summer. They paid for a gym membership for me to do my rehab, which not a lot of people know. So it was great for me. Obviously, because if you do your knee, you have to obviously build a ring around it and things like that. So they paid for that, and I'm due for I repaid them, be getting back and getting fitter and stronger. So, but yeah, it's the broken foot is actually, I twisted my ankle. I think it was Ashford away, and I twisted my ankle, and I don't know how, but I broke the bone in the bottom of my foot. No, the little arch bit.
Yeah.
I broke a bone there by twisting my ankle. Oh, again.
How the fuck's that happened?
You name an injury, I've had it.
Not enough. Irish coffee's not enough milk.
To be fair, I'm in the wrong game. I should be a sports therapist because I know fucking everything about the human body and how to recover. Well, I don't know how to recover, to be fair.
Bread meal and coffee.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then like you was sort of seem to be changing clubs every season for the next sort of however many.
Lower league, mate. That's what happens.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's just the name of the game, isn't it, down there? But like I've got you played with Croydon Athletic, Cray Wanderers, Kingstonian, back to Croydon, Leatherhead, Chertsey, Chipstead, Whiteleaf, obviously. What was it sort of? What was that like that period of time through your non-league career? Because from a lot of guys that I know that have played in non-league, they absolutely love it, and it's sort of the best times that they have. Even people that have played at the higher levels and that.
Nah, non-leagues, it's great, and but again, I think that changed that level. I think even nowadays it used to be a social for us, to be fair, and nowadays it's not. But again, fair play to the kids that are playing nowadays, because they've realised they want to give themselves the best opportunity to succeed and get higher, so they're at the best physical shape that they want to be. But like I used to get most of the London clubs I used to get the brown envelope. Most of it used to go back behind the bars, which again that actually keeps the non-league clubs going, which people don't realise.
The bar money
that all it is, and then they used to go back behind the bar, and then used to spend my own money and fucking something at Croydon or wherever we went that night.
So there was no cards with pin numbers for these clubs then, no?
No, unfortunately, no.
Tight bastards.
Nobody could afford it. Yeah, and to be fair, I'm not going to lie. It was probably it was a little bit of both. Probably for an extra couple of quid, 2 beers or something at the weekend, but I was always trying to go at a higher sort of level, because like when I moved to Kays and sort of Cray, they were both in and around the playoffs or challenging. So obviously, as a footballer, you want to win things. So that's why I moved. Plus,
who was the manager at Kays at the time?
Dice.
Oh, yeah.
Dice. What a top bloke Dice is, to be fair. He's
a can understand him.
Oh, me and him conversation. How the fuck did that go? Seriously.
Fucking hell, he's as Geordie as you like, isn't he?
Christ. Yeah, funny.
Yeah, the last I heard he was at Woking,
because
they played Watford. He was the manager when they played Watford in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
He's a really top bloke, to be fair.
Yeah, he's quality.
But again, he chased me. He chased me for quite some time, and it didn't go, and then it went.
What? And he didn't catch her?
He did. I'm good at hiding, Greg. It wasn't quick enough. No, but he chased me for quite some time. Dyson, I didn't go, and then it did, and then he just didn't play me. So that's when I ended up going to Church in Long. And before it was more for money than anything before. Yeah. But again, a lovely little club, Churchy, but it was more for money. It was the geezer Spencer Day was in charge then. He was throwing
he's just
silly money.
Handing it out left, right, and centre.
Yeah. So
following Chelsea, back at Whiteleaf, you were player coach.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I wouldn't advise it, to be fair. I think,
really?
Again, Nicky who was the manager, was our manager at AFC Wimbledon, Nick English. And he asked me and Danny Opens to be coaches who played for him. I stupidly said yes. And then I think it was in. I think we might have played Chipstead, Whiteleaf, and it 1-1. And he brought me off. He did. He's brought me off, and by the time I'd walked from the back of the dugout, you might have been playing for Whiteleaf at the time, Greg. The time I walked round,
2010, it would have been Greg.
Mate, don't ask me. You'd have to look it up.
The time I walked around the dugout, we were 2-1 down.
Oh,
2-1, and I said to him after the game, I said, "Why did you?" Because we were on top, and anyone you speak to in the bar after, we were on top. We were doing all right. And he said, "I thought they were going to change their tactics," and I just went, "Nicky, I can't work for you, mate." To be fair, I think I went to Chipstead after that. So Nicky's a lovely bloke, but again, you have clashes with people. So it was all amicable, but
he brought you off because he thought they were going to change the tactics, not because they did, just because he thought.
No, and he changed our tactics but we were on top, and that's why I didn't understand. So I just went their separate ways out.
But it's forward thinking, isn't there? And then there's dropping the bollock. So And then, following there, you ended up at Croydon Athletic, Premier League, Combined Counties Premier League.
Yeah.
And then, was you there at that time, Greg, as well?
I don't think so. No, I think you
was immersed them together.
I was a Leatherhead for quite a while, wasn't I? And then,
of course you was, yeah.
I think I'm probably there when you're talking about Ginge, when you was player coach. I was probably still at Leatherhead, mate, to be honest. But I mean, I'd done Tour de Surrey, didn't I, as well? Like literally, fucking, I was in and around. I was never fit, mate. You know what I mean? Managers had enough of me after a little while. And then,
to be fair, there was one season you got proper fit and you scored loads
I
of goals. That was a Leatherhead, wasn't
it? Yeah. There's only it's fun, like again, timings. You know what I mean? It's like the one player that scored one more goal than me. I think he got 38, or I got 37. Oh no, he got 39. I got 38. Whatever. He got a trial for Newcastle, and I got fuck all. I stayed at Leverett.
Is that Jason Pryor you're on about?
Jason Pryor. He's a
he went on to play for AFC as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
I think he's still at Dorking Wanderers.
Yeah, he's probably
still buying goals.
Jamie O'Hara plays for them now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's doing a bit.
Jamie O'Hara's there. He's there now. He started. Yeah, he left for the
playing a few games.
Doing bits of Dorking now. Dorking Wanderers,
Wanderers, apparently, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, just had a look. Jason Pryor is there now. Yeah.
He had a bad injury though. I think when he went to AFC,
he broke his leg at AFC, didn't he? I think.
Yeah. Literally not long after sign, because he had the trial at Newcastle, and obviously for whatever reason didn't happen, and then he went AFC and fucking broke his leg quite quick.
Yeah. I think he just signed his leg, and he was out for about a year. I think it was a bad one. I think he was out for about a year. And
then sort of ended up back at Bognor, I think.
He had the age, Greg. That's what it was, mate. That's all, mate. Don't be too disheartened. Yeah. If you was 18 or whatever, banging in goals, you'd have.
Mate, the mentality weren't there, was it?
He was given a double espresso and told to fucking walk on a treadmill as well. That's why he recovered quicker.
And then after that, you moved to Lingfield and spent 3 years there.
Yeah, and again that was similar to AFC in the way of a team. Like we had a really, really good team at the time. Most of the boys played with AFC. Lee Sidwell, Stephen's brother, Danny Okins, Rob O'Hara in goal, Freddie Fleming, who you'd probably know, Greg, and Nicky Forster was up top, and Dean Hamlin. So we had a really, really good side.
Good player.
It was in the Sussex League, I think, at the time, and we, again, you talk about fine lines. We were 3-0 up against Rye, I think, down there, and we would have went top of the league. And Dino done his ankle, I done my hamstring, and then I think whatever happened, Dino, I think I played the next game, but then there was too many. You know Dal Coleman as well, Rooney. I forgot who was there. He was there with us as well. So it was me and him in the field.
Oh yeah, I know him well.
And we were just. There was a different type of dressing room in Northern Ireland, but Dixie used to let us talk ourselves, but we used to fucking scream at each other, especially Rooney and Okins and Fozzie didn't like it. Yeah, Fozzie didn't like it. So he didn't. We were probably two strong characters, and Fozzie didn't really like it, and Fozzie left. So then with Dino out and Fozzie left, that was the spine of the team. We'd have went on and pissed that league all day long. Dorking were actually in that league then.
Yeah.
So they were. But yeah, we had them done and pissed it. And for the rest of them all left, and I stayed there because I got on well with the manager, and he just wanted to sort of build sort of young boys around me. It was a nice little club. I enjoyed it coming in my career. So I just decided to stay there and enjoy it at that time. But again, I got injured and ended up having a back operation the first day of the season there. So yeah,
you've had your fair share, mate.
I haven't, mate. I haven't. I've got a skeleton behind me with no bones left.
Well, that sort of brought your career to an end. You saw it out at Lingfield.
Yeah.
And then
I was going to say Whiteleaf.
Back to Whiteleaf. No.
Yeah, back to Whiteleaf. Yeah. He's signed for them again next season.
Yeah.
To sort of finish our chat off anyway, I want to sort of run through a few questions.
Yeah.
Like based on your whole career in the game. First one down is best player you ever played with.
Again, I think it's tough because obviously different player. Is this supposed to be quick fire? Do you want me to
No. It's like no, it's not.
Next.
As long as you want, mate.
If you want to talk about me in that, like, keep going, mate. Keep going.
No, because again, obviously you've got non-league and you've got pro level, which is different kettle of fish. And you've got different positions because there's some great defenders and midfielders who probably won't get the accolades that wingers or forwards would get.
Yeah.
I think if I go on, obviously played with and what I got out of, I would probably say Lombardo. I think I trained and played with him a couple of times. Just at a kid at that age, to see that so young, it was unreal. But again, when I was at Palace, I played with Ray Wilkins, and fuck me, could he play?
Yeah.
we played the I think it was the Chinese under 21s, maybe under 23s, and he was the best player on the park. He was a coach there at the time. Fuck it, he must have been unreal when he was. And again, he did a little bit of coaching at Brentford as well, so I knew Ray quite well. And what a top player he was and top bloke he was.
Was Fancy high in that one or what?
Yeah. Fan that was actually part of the connection. Fan and Summer that
was part of the deal that they had to play.
You got to play Chinese every year.
Yeah, they were actually there at the time, so that was a connection. I think they come over and played with 23s. So the but yeah,
Fancy
as a midfielder, Lombardo all day long.
What a name.
What about non-league? What about non-league then? If you was going to go away from pro,
shut up, Greg, ain't you?
You can't say Greg.
I know.
He'd choose Tommy Hutch over you anyway. Tommy Hutch over Greg or what?
What a good player. To be fair,
he had the left foot. What are you talking about?
Non-league, I would say I'm probably going to go the other way. To play with would probably be a boy called Rob Ursel. I don't know whether you remember him, Greg. Do you remember us?
No.
Fuck it. He was at AFC Woodman. He was just this. He's something to do with futsal now, but you could tell he was like one of them boys that just comes up in the power league. The skills were unbelievable. And we played sort of a 3 in midfield at the time, so you just give him the ball and we used to call him magician because he was that good. He's probably the best technical I've seen at non-league. Well, again, there's some big great players. I'll miss a few out, but fucking Urs was technically very, very good skill-wise.
But best player you played against, and like chances are it'll probably be someone in midfield that you've matched up against. So
yeah,
but yeah, best player you ever played against.
Again, I'll always refer to either my youth days because that's probably when I was at my best. I think.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I wanted the challenge. I wanted to be up there, and probably there was probably 3 that would stand out for me. One would be McPhail all day long. Another one would be Emery.
Oh, the Turkish guy played for Newcastle,
I played against him in the 21s. He stank, but he was fucking unbelievable.
He stank, but he was unbelievable.
Yeah. And I would probably go. There was a boy at Blackburn again in the FA Youth Cup run. We played against Blackburn, and there was a boy called Luke Staton who was at Barry actually when I was going to go there. But he was really good. I don't know what happened, whether it was injuries. I'm friends with him on LinkedIn. He's now a coach for what do you call them? Mindsets and things. Yeah, he does motivational speaker. So nice. He was good. Because again, I always compare direct sort of contact. And Stephen Hughes was another one at Arsenal. He was good.
Yeah, he was cracking player, Hughes.
Yeah,
very good. Hardest player you ever played with?
Played with?
Ray Wilkins.
That's a tough one. I'd probably go back to non-league with that.
I bet.
I played with a few fucking lunatics. Like there was some things that we used to get away with at Wimbledon because of the crowd. It was mad. I probably go Wade Falana. He was a fucking lunatic, like Wade. But I played against him with him. He's a lunatic. You wouldn't want to play against him as a centre half. He fucking elbows everywhere.
Who was that? Sorry, Gareth, it cut out my
A
end.
boy called Wade Falana. He's actually been a pro, Wade. Yeah, I'd probably say him. He'd probably be the hardest.
Wade.
He's googling him. Look.
I am Wade who?
Falana.
Fellaini.
Falana. He's been at Sheffield United and been around non-league scene.
Oh, fair play. Hardest you played against?
Me and Jamie Beer from K's used to have a few ding dongs, but I'd probably say, and I don't recognize this. I don't know whether it was hard, but this is a story I get told. It's probably quite a good one for you lot. We played Spurs in the FA's Cup. I don't know whether it was quarter or something. And you probably remember the boy Mark Gower went on to Swansea, midfielder again.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
Yeah, doesn't ring a bell for me, no.
We were again. We were probably better than Spurs, but he was their fucking main man, like. And Nico goes to me again because we could mix as well. We could mix as well, but Nico says to me, he said, "Just wind him up." So all I did was just wind him up. I was again talking about sledging. I was talking about his mom and his sister, and fucking also. I was a horrible. I'm not gonna lie. I was a horrible little fucker, and I'd probably slap my own head in. But I was doing all that, and I didn't see it, but obviously it was a plough lane at the time because we used to play a reserve team. These team games are, apart from obviously semi-final and final. But apparently he chased me down the tunnel with a cosh. He was going to fucking batter me.
Batter you?
So I don't know whether that's hard or thing, but he was going to batter me. And obviously Paul McVeigh was actually his roommate who I played with in the 21s, and he was telling me, he said, "Fuck, why does Gowsy hate you so much?" And I had to be honest with him and say, "Look, I just fucking wound him up so much." And I'll have to, if he's hope he watches this. I'm sorry, mate. I was just doing my job, but that's what Nico told me to do because we knew we'd better players if he didn't play.
Yeah.
And Nico knew I was the only one that could wind him up so bad, and I fucking clearly did. That was
brilliant.
Where's he get the cost from? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. But to be fair, it was plough and it probably fell off a back out horse. You fucking see.
That dodgy play.
Funny man.
Oh, I do have a few. Again, non-league would probably be the geezer called Noel Frankham. He was at AFC with us. He never played, hardly ever played, but he was the funniest fucker in the world. Seriously, he was. He used to. We used to go to like Kingston or something, after games or something, or whatever it was, and he used to do the schoolboy piss. You've all heard of the schoolboy piss, didn't you?
No.
Go on.
We're in the VIP bit in Kingston, and Lenny Pidgley, and there's loads of Chelsea boys in there as well. So he's fucking pulled his drawers down right to his ankles, like the school kids do.
This is you, Kyle.
I actually do this.
That's what we call it, the schoolboy piss. And he started eating the fucking urinal things.
Oh,
no, I don't do that.
Lenny Pidgley was saying, "Oh mate, it was funny as fuck."
Oh, that's
but he's one of the funniest blokes I've ever met. Him and Bassey, who's just they were like fucking Pinky and Perky. They were a good combo together. We did a lot of good lads at AFC.
Brilliant.
And then for pro would probably be for Woody was one of the funny skaters, but Tots was funny. David Tuttle was a funny bloke. I get a funny story about Tots. He was when I broke my leg, I was in traction, so my leg was up, and I was in St Anthony's, which I don't know where they are. These are all local, so it's run by nuns, so there's all fucking nuns in there.
Is that next to St Raps Hospice?
Don't know. It's in Cheam.
Cheam, yeah.
It's Cheam,
part of the same thing.
End of Gander Green Lane there, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah. So it's run by nuns, so all nurses are nuns. So my mum and dad due to come in see me. They obviously flew over. Jamie Smith and Tots, because we used to train at Mitcham at the time, so they'd just come around from the training ground. And they came to see me, him and Jamie Smith, and they went. So they've telling them we were having a good laugh anyway. So Tots is just about to go, And he said, "I've got you something, Ginge." And he fucking over 50s poor mag, and he's gone. Obviously, my legs in traction, I can't fucking move, so I'll just leave it here for you. So he's fucking left it middle spread on the bed, on the floor. So I've got the dilemma of going, do I let my mum and dad come and see it, or do I fucking ring this bell and get these nuns to come in and pick this over 50s fucking blind poor mag up? Oh mate, it was hilarious. He was a funny cunt.
He's done you there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Proper.
Big time.
Is Jamie Smith the right back? Is that Jamie Smith you're on about?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Good lad for.
That is a fucking brilliant stitch up there. I've got time for that.
I bet they loved you, mate.
Yeah.
Obviously, like a lot of players, when they sign for new clubs, they have to do the tradition of singing a little song. Yeah. Who's the best singer you ever heard throughout your career?
It was quite ironic. It would probably be Harvey. He came to FC Wimbledon, MC Harvey.
Yeah.
He obviously did 21 seconds.
Yeah.
So he did
live performance for you.
Yeah. So I'd probably have to go Harv.
That's class. Yeah, I forgot he went there.
Yeah.
He wasn't a bad player, actually.
Yeah, quick. But he was a Barnet as a kid, Harv. So he was good friends with Clinton, so we knew him quite well. Well, I knew him quite well anyway. So yeah, but I obviously brought the old fucking what do you call him? What's his missus? What band was she in?
Oh, Mystique.
Mystique.
Yeah, so I brought their CD and everything for his first game, so we could play it all fucking and everything.
That's what was it, Alicia Dixon, isn't it?
Alicia, yeah. His ex-missus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he dropped the bollock there and all, didn't
he? Yeah. Fucking hell.
No, he was punching a bit there, I think.
Yeah, he was chasing.
Yeah, well that was brilliant, Gareth. We'll sort of draw a line under it there, mate. And have you got anything else you sort of wanna chat about while we're here?
No, I could talk all night.
Yeah, mate. So to be fair, we'll probably carry on once we stop recording anyway.
Yeah.
Get a few
No, I'd say thanks for having me on.
That was brilliant, mate. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Top man. Thanks for everyone for watching and listening. Give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube, and yeah. Until next time. See you later.
See you guys. Take care.